Hi guys, welcome to the Alté Ldn podcast. We're back again for another episode. It's me, Afia, and we also have
Charlene, your dearest.
Charlene, your dearest.
Your dearest.
So we've got Afia and Charlene back again. As we said in like the other episodes, we're taking it down a more serious path.
Yeah.
And today's like a bit more like, it was the word investigative. Is
yeah, no, definitely investigative. Yes. I like that.
Shout out to me because that's the word for me. Do you know what? Yeah, I know words, I just can't pronounce them. But yeah, anyway, today's very investigative.
Is it? So, are we speaking about infamous people or infamous people?
We're talking about infamous people who are infamous for their crime. Yes, last week I did say infamous, but I meant infamous. But yeah, we're taking it down a different path this season. So we've already spoken about like colorism, we've spoken about like LGBTQIA+, and today we're actually taking it down. It's kind of different today.
Slightly more sinister, I guess, in a sense, but
yeah, a little bit more sinister,
passionate, I guess.
We both myself and Charlene, I think we're both fans of like true crime.
We are. We actually are.
Love all that.
We actually are.
So today we're going to be talking about people who've been like obsessed. I don't know what to call these sort of people.
Obsessive
killings. Obsessive killings.
Passion killings.
So passion killings. So people who've just been driven to a point of murder because they're so like infatuated or obsessed with a person. Yeah. And like we're going to be namely talking about famous cases, so like celebrities who've been killed, or like famous like relationships of like families or like partners who've like been involved in killings. Yeah. Those sorts of things. But
there's like a whole big genre, because I mean a lot of us will know that there, you know, recently there's always been like a true crime. I used to always watch the true crime channel on like Sky or back in the day it was NTL cable, which like I don't, you man who know NTL back in the day, which then became Virgin Media. We're not plugging here, but yeah. So
my NTL, that's a throwback.
Throwback. But yeah, I used to always watch like true crime channels. And I'm not gonna lie, I think as time has gone on, as I've got older, I'm a bit shook because like these things are happening like around us. Like as you get older, obviously you become a lot more aware. So like it's a bit crazy. But I think the reason why we wanted to talk about this is one, because I think we're both like really intrigued. Like what like Afia and I have conversations like we like. It's so interesting to understand like how you even got to this point. They got to this point, and obviously what drives them, exactly. But also you know, we can't ignore the fact that it's become a lot more popular in media with like the, you know, TV shows like American Crime Story, so the Gianni Versace and like the OJ Simpson story, and then also with Dirty John season 1 and 2 and things like that, and then obviously like other biopics that have happened as well. So so where should we start? Should we start about what is considered a passion or crime? I mean, you kind of already said that, I guess, but
yeah, I mean, well, a passion killing is more so like in relationships. So if you've got like a husband or a wife who've been like bereaved, like let's say they got divorced or something, or like even if they've just found out their partner's having an affair, they've just been driven to the point of like, I've just got to kill this person. Like I can't continue with life, like they've just got to go, like otherwise like I don't even know what I'm gonna do. So yeah, just being driven to the point because you're so like infatuated or angry with this person that you just got to kill them. So that's a passion killing. With the obsessed killings with like celebrities, I guess that's someone who's so like obsessed, interested in what like a celebrity is doing. Maybe they're in a state like, well, if I can't be around them or if I can't be friends with them, then like no one can. Because I know there was that case with that girl from do you remember, I can't remember her name, but she was from The Voice. I didn't actually know about who she was until she was killed, but like she was a singer from The Voice. She was quite successful, and like this guy was like really obsessed with her and was sort of like he was trying to like reinvent himself so he could look like someone she'd want to date. And then he started to realize more and more like, oh, it's never gonna happen. So in his head he was like, well, if I can't have her, no one else can. So he went to a gig and like shot her dead like while she was
my god,
I think it was after she did signings. Do you remember that she was doing like a signing and like do you remember
somewhere like Florida or something like that? Don't quote me, but yes, no, do you know what? I do remember this. She was I do. That's crazy. That is crazy.
So he was
but also the mad thing about it is that it's not even just like people who don't know them, it's also people that are close to them, which we're going to talk about now. Maybe that leads quite nicely into Selena.
We'll get into that now. So good. So if you guys don't know, so not Selena Gomez. Someone's like, Selena Gomez, no.
But who she was named after, actually, because she's from the same. She's from the same area.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So Selena Quintanilla, who's the original Selena, she just went by Selena back then before there was Selena Gomez. So she was actually a Grammy award-winning, like huge Mexican American singer, songwriter, actress, and fashion designer. Like super gorgeous. Like you guys have probably seen like beautiful. Yeah, you guys have probably seen like the biopic that features Jennifer Lopez. Who played her like really, really well. She really embodied her. She looks just like her.
Great job.
So. So what happened with Selena, if you guys didn't know, she was killed on March the 31st, 1995 at only age 23 by her fan club founder Yolanda Saldivar, so who actually gunned her down. So like what happened is that Selena had befriended Yolanda shortly after the fan club was founded in 1995 and eventually went to hire her on as her assistant and also the manager of her clothing store, so it was called Selena etc, which was a clothing boutique, because she was really into her fashion. Like if you've seen her like stage costumes, like ridiculous, gorgeous little like bralettes, like cute,
she was ahead of the curve, man. Really nice. She was ahead of the curve.
Yeah. So she had all of that going for her. Everything was going well, but like that's actually where the trouble sort of began. So like a few of the employees of the boutique were sort of like, Selena, like money's going missing, like what's going on, like we really think that it's Yolanda. But she was sort of like, Selena was like very trusting. She was a very like good-natured person. You could tell that from her interviews and just what people have said about her. She was super good-natured, really thought the best of everyone. She was like, no, like, I don't think that's happening. She sort of ignored it. The people who were working the store were like, okay, let's take this further, let's take it to her dad. Her dad immediately was like, okay, yeah, something's going on. Tried to bring it to Selena, but she was sort of like, Dad, like you always think that people are up to like shady shit, like just relax, it's fine. And then they actually started to get calls from people who were signing up to the fan club saying like, look, we've given money, but like we're not seeing anything from it, like what's going on? So Selena was sort of like, okay, yeah, something is definitely going on. They found out that Yolanda was actually like embezzling money from Selena. So that's sort of where everything was sort of going left. So I'm just gonna get something from Wikipedia. So that was coming, and so she was like, she didn't want to like dissolve the relationship with Yolanda. She sort of was like, well, she's already got like stuff with my finances, she does quite well with like the tax stuff, so like I don't want to get rid of her, I just want to sort of like, let's chat about it sort of thing. So they were like, cool, let's meet. They met up at what's the place called, sorry, they met up in an inn.
It was like a motel or something like that, right?
Yeah, it was like a motel. They wanted to just have a conversation about it. And so it's called Days in Corpus Christi. So at the hotel, like Selena demanded financial papers because she was all like, look, like I know that you're stealing, so like just tell me the facts. And then Saldivar like got a gun from her purse and like pointed at Selena, and Selena like attempted to flee, and like so Yolanda shot her once in her right lower shoulder, severing an artery and causing like severe loss of blood. And like Selena was like really, really wounded obviously, and like she just ran to the lobby, leaving like a 392-foot long trail of blood, and she was like, look, this is the room that I was in, this is the person who shot me, and then she just collapsed on the floor. So like she was dead on the scene basically. There was then a 9-hour standoff with them trying to get Yolanda out, and she was obviously eventually arrested. But Selena was like killed because of this. Like I don't even know like what was going on, but like Yolanda did admit like her feelings for Selena was like, they did like get to like an obsessive point, because she was obviously like a great big fan like of her before she even got involved with her, and like she was just, I don't know what it was. Maybe she was just like upset like someone like Selena, who she really idolized, was turning against her, and then she was like, I've got to kill her. Like I don't even know what the thinking was there, but she was killed after all of that. So pretty wild. I
mean, and so with that, it's just like where do you even start? So like literally, I don't even know. Because this part, like, and I guess we're just not gonna be able to understand it, and I think, hopefully we'll be able to get like some professionals on at some point to try and like understand like the brain of someone like that. But like, you were a fan who she then employed, and then you decided that you wanted to steal, because this is unfortunately the human race. We are just, sometimes we're jealous, and sometimes we're just greedy. And then like you got to a point where you were so jealous of her, and that she asked you to sort of, please explain what's going on. She didn't even sort of like it's crazy. And from my understanding as well, like watching it and also like reading about it, like she wasn't even accusing her, because she was even trying to find a way to like make things work. She did say, it's reading here, she did say that, maybe we should take some time apart, but I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah.
You guys have, just gone through this big thing where it's like, you're moving mad. And then like, you were like, okay, no, let's not spend time apart, I'm gonna shoot you. Like,
how do you get to that?
Also for me, it's the intent though, because you came there with a gun, bro. Like, it's it's not even a thing of like, it's not
they got into a fight,
right.
Like,
you actually came with an intent to do something. Like, what did you think she was going to do? At this point, you knew her, so you knew that she wasn't even like someone who was very violent or anything. Like, so like that's what's crazy to me. Like, you fully came with a gun, bro. Like, what was you gonna do? Like, other than to shoot her, which is what you end up doing. Like, absolutely crazy.
It's really sad. And it's just like, I don't know, it's super sad because someone like there's not that many like Latin American big singers. Well, there's more now because obviously it's definitely becoming more mainstream. But like back then, at the time, no, like she was like doing things for them, singing in like only Spanish, which was great. And like she was like just doing her thing, and only 23 years old, and she'd like managed to have done all that. I think it's that as well, like the jealousy. Like, this girl's like, she's really beautiful, really talented, she's done all this at 23. Like, Yolanda was obviously a lot older than her. She's probably looking at like, oh, what am I doing with my life, sort of thing, comparing her. So I think it was definitely like some sort of jealousy there as well, that has led to that. So yeah, that one is wild.
I mean, and so just a couple other things about it. So she actually surrendered, I guess, in the end.
After the 9 hours,
right? And then she said that she apparently cried out, "I can't believe I just killed my best friend," which is just like, I mean, too little, too late. Like, that takes guts, that takes real guts. And also, so she actually waived the right to an attorney. So she didn't actually have an attorney when she was in court, and at the time the bail was set to like 100k, and then they raised it to 500k, so there was really no way of her being out on bail. But so the police department will ask a lot of questions about why they didn't actually do the death penalty, like charge her with the death penalty, and because they didn't do that, they actually got like lots and lots of complaints and death threats and everything like that. Because I mean, you need to understand, like, Selena was like a cultural icon.
She was huge, exactly.
Like, she was a cultural, like she was really one of a kind at the time. Obviously there was other Latin American singers, as you said, but very few that were like sort of like had that sort of American appeal as well.
The impact,
not to add as well that sort of that area of Texas. I mean, Texas got a huge Spanish community, so aside from that anyway. But yeah, so they were getting lots and lots of death threats, and apparently even like the Mexican mafia were on their thing, like, what's going on.
I'm not surprised.
And apparently she was under suicide watch as well. I mean, obviously she was clearly mentally unstable for her to get to that stage. And if any of you have seen the film, which we definitely recommend watching, by the way, definitely watch it, because it's actually I believe it's quite true to the story, as true as it could be.
It's very accurate, and they're actually bringing out a TV show as well.
Are they?
But like, they're bringing out a TV show for Netflix. But what's quite sad about it is her husband.
Because she got married when she was young, right?
She got married, so he was actually in her
to
band.
The guitarist or something like that.
Yes. Like, what's his name? Sorry, I really want to get his name. But yeah, basically he wasn't consulted for the TV show because the family's like been quite harsh to him, and like he was super in love with Selena, obviously like really devastated that this had happened to her, and has been like such an advocate for her, like just trying to like keep her name going and whatever. Like, he's always like talking about Selena, but yeah, he wasn't actually consulted like with the people that they chosen to pick the people who are playing them. So I think that's quite sad. Like, he's just been like sort of exiled out, and like I think that just the Quintanilla family are just trying to like obviously keep the money going with Selena's name. So yeah, it's quite sad there.
They didn't have any children, did they? I don't think.
Yeah, they didn't have any kids. No,
smart.
They did not.
Man, Selena. But yeah, rest in peace, Selena. I mean, yeah, crazy story, and I mean, it's gonna be a recurring theme, I guess. Well, actually, I think what's nice is that we're going to talk about things like this where like no one really understands how the hell she got to that point.
This is the thing, you wouldn't ever know.
The next one we're going to talk about, if you're happy to move on, is probably, let's talk about Betty Broderick. If you guys,
so interesting.
really interesting. So to set it up, so basically there's the TV show on Netflix called Dirty John. I think it was originally on one of the American TV networks, I believe Oxygen, Lifetime, something like that, but then it came to Netflix, and that's where it really gained like a lot of traction. So the first season was about John, or nicknamed Dirty John, who that's a whole nother story, and we may touch upon it, we might not, but to be honest with you, talking about that story kind of makes me angry, because I just think
I don't even want to get
she was actually stupid. I don't care what anyone says, she was actually stupid.
The signs were there, it's like, come on.
Stupid. But season 2, they're carrying on. And actually, I read as well they're going to do season 3, which is quite interesting. So I wonder what story they're going to use. But yeah, season 2 was about this lady called Betty Broderick. So just to give like a bit of like a brief sort of rundown about who she was. So Betty Broderick. She was an American woman who was convicted of killing her ex-husband Daniel and his new wife Linda in 1989. So she met her husband in 65 at Notre Dame University in Indiana, and then the two married in 69. And they had children. I think they had 4 children, and had daughters Kim in 1970 and Lee the following year, and then they had another son who passed away shortly after birth. And then they had
also, to point out as well, they had so many kids because they were Catholic and they didn't believe in contraception, because I know that Betty didn't want to have to keep having kids.
No, she didn't. She didn't. And when you watch the show, you can see that she's kind of like every time she says she's pregnant, she's just like, oh no, like, yeah, exactly.
Again.
Right. But yeah, they thought that, like, Betty thought the two were happy, and she said that it was a perfect marriage. However, anyways, in interviews, like, subsequently after everything happened, the daughter said that, that her mum and dad would, like, be angry at each other all the time, so maybe it wasn't so perfect. But yeah, they continued to the marriage break down in 82 with after Dan hired a new secretary called Linda Colcana, and Betty was convinced the two were having an affair, which drove her to attempt to take her own life in 1983. The following year, the Brodericks moved out of the family home, and in 1985, Dan and Linda moved back into the home together. So just paint a picture here. So they all moved out of the family home, so him and his wife, and then he basically moved back in with his new thing. Like, okay, just paint a picture. So Betty and Dan began what would become a very bitter divorce process. At one point, there was a court order in place which prevented Betty from entering the old family home that Dan and Linda shared, but she broke in, causing chaos. She threw a wine bottle through the window, smeared pie over the bed, broke mirrors, and spray painted the walls. The divorce proceedings went on for 5 years. Betty had difficulty attaining a good lawyer, just because she didn't have P, and then also no one really wanted to take the case because he was a lawyer. He was a big lawyer. That's what I'm saying. Like, no one wanted to take the case because he was a lawyer. I mean, the first lawyer really did try. I feel like, anyway. At the end of the divorce, she was granted $16,000 a month, which, think about it, that's a lot of money, bro.
That's a lot of money. Back then as well, that's like, that's even,
we're talking about the 80s. $16,000 a month, that's a lot of money now.
I know, exactly.
That's a lot of money now. Like, if someone gave me $16,000 a month, I would be calm. When you've got people like Dr. Dre's wife asking for $2 million a month, crazy.
Ooh, I saw that. Yeah, that's mad.
So $16,000 a month plus a separate $28,000 in the settlement, but sole custody of the kids was granted to Dan, so granted to husband. So by the time of Linda and Dan's wedding in '89, Broderick had already threatened to kill Dan at least once. So early on Sunday, 5th of November 89, Betty Broderick entered their ex-husband's home using the key she'd taken from her daughter and made her way to the bedroom, where she fired 5 gunshots, killing Dan and Linda in their bed. A few hours after the murders, Broderick turned herself into the police. At her first trial, Broderick's defence claimed that she had been a battered wife and that she had been driven over the edge by years of physical and mental abuse at the hands of her ex-husband. The prosecution portrayed Broderick as a cold-blooded murderer who planned to murder her ex-husband. The first trial ended with a hung jury, and a mistrial was declared by the judge. So then she was retried a year later, where the defence was successful in convincing the jury. In 91, she was found guilty of the second-degree murders of the couple and sentenced to a minimum of 32 years in prison. She's currently held in California in prison, and she's been denied parole 3 times over the years, with most recently in 2017. So next time she'll be able to apply is in 2032, at which point she'll be 84 years old. So yeah, that's like a quick rundown of basically that story. I mean, again, where do we start? So I
just want to say
yeah, go.
So I just want to say, because obviously I'm not saying I condone killing, I definitely don't, but like, let's just paint this picture. So like, as Charlene said in the beginning, she was supporting her husband from the beginning. Like, they didn't have that much money. Like, she was from money anyway, but like once they were living together, they didn't have anything. They were like, look, we're going to do this by ourselves. So she was having enough kids supporting him because he was at university.
Yeah, he decided
at the last minute.
Yeah, he went back to college.
Yeah, he changed because he was
a medical doctor.
He was going to be a doctor. Exactly. He was gonna be a doctor, and then he was like, last minute, like, okay, I'm gonna be a lawyer. She was like, you want to go to uni while we've got like 4 kids?
Specifically
like,
a malpractice lawyer, so that's even like, you know, more specific.
That's a long time. So she was working jobs whilst pregnant, whilst raising the kids. Obviously they got to a point where they'd made it where he'd obviously like become successful. He'd made a lot of money, so like she's like basically raised this man like up to what he is now. Then he then gets a new secretary and then has an affair, and that to me is a huge fucking piss take to someone who's like been with you and like held you up and like was working so that you could get your degree, you could get the money that you're on, and then now you've just like shat in her
not
face,
to add
basically.
She's given you like 4 or 5 kids,
enough children,
4 kids,
exactly.
1 who passed away, so would have been children. 5. So she's bared that now. She's bared 5, giving birth to like 5 kids.
To 5 of your
and
kids.
Then
and you wanted to go have an affair.
And this is the thing. The thing is though, as well, like if you watch it, as well, it doesn't even seem like, because sometimes it's like some men will just be like, okay, look, let me just cheat on the side, but I'll still be married to you. But he didn't even want to stay married to her. Like he was like, I'm gonna go cheat and I'm gonna leave your ass. Like the thing is like, because I think that's probably what even her, because like when you try to like understand like what even got her to that point, it's like, okay, cool. Like she wasn't even given the option of just being cheated on. Like he was just like, nah, I cheated on you and now I don't want to be with you. Like it's peak.
Exactly.
Like,
he gave her no respect.
Right, because like, and so then you think to yourself like, okay, see a lot of situations where like women end up staying with the man, even though they've been cheated on. It's like, okay, not that you understand it, but you can't understand it because like, look, I'm not going to give up my whole life now because you decide you want a hot new thing. Do you know what I mean? Like this is given like this. It's actually a life. Like that's the first time when
he
watching
wasn't even
that.
trying to like reconcile anything.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, no, that's it.
That's the first time. Like when watching it, and I actually technically haven't finished it yet, but I've read what happens. But like when watching it, I thought to myself, you know what? Like that's the first time where I could understand why there's some women who stay. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Would I? That obviously is not my preferred option, but like I can actually understand why some people stay. Like they just overlook the cheating and they're just like, okay, this is like, but this is.
Well,
it's a
she
whole
didn't
life,
have
though.
anything though, because like this is the thing. Like if you've been with someone like your whole life and like all your money is tied up in that house and with that man, so like where are you supposed to go? I've never had a job because now obviously you're a lawyer. I haven't had to work. I've been raising the fucking 4 children. So like I don't have anything. So like that's number 1, and 2, he knows that as well. He knows that like he raised her up, she raised him up, and then like she's done this, she's done that, and then like what was like really taking the piss. And she said in her because there was an interview with her, like I can't remember it was done, but it was quite recent actually, but she said she was like, all I wanted was I wanted like the finances and I wanted to be able to see my kids. Those are the only 2 things I wanted, but he didn't want to give me that, and that's what drove me to the point, because what he was actually trying to do, he wasn't trying to give her any money. And he didn't want her to have any custody of the kids. Like he was like, no, like she's not getting anything. And it's like, hold on a minute, like she literally supported your whole life, and like without her you wouldn't have been able to get to this point, because if she wasn't out there doing her little odd jobs, there wouldn't be no money to
but listen to the thing though. So obviously he was very manipulative. Let's start there. And like he's by no means definitely. Like he's by no means innocent in the situation. However, what I will say is that like where she went wrong is that she was moving a bit obsessive. Like she was like I think the problem is that, and so that's why he was able to make the case of her being sort of like mentally inadequate or mentally unstable enough to take care of the kids. Do you know what I mean? Because if she was like, okay, cool, you're going to go off, right, I'm going to go live my life, then I think it might have been slightly different. But where she was just like, it was clear that she was kind of obsessing over the situation, which I understand, but I think that's where he was able to sort of argue the grounds that she was like not stable enough to actually take care of the kids. And they used to go to her, I believe, like on weekends on occasion or something like that. But like it's just, I think if she, and even when they did go to her, like they'll go to her house and then there wasn't like she didn't,
but she would say stuff about the dad though, because the kids even said she would be like, oh, I'm gonna kill your father, like she would just say it to the kids. I wish that she'd like held it in more, like, you know, like right, let me just take the L, I'm gonna go at home, I'm gonna go wild at home by myself.
That's what I'm saying.
Not gonna go
find you a new man.
She drove a car she drove the car into the front door.
She did. It's crazy.
But yeah, she was. What I'm saying is, I can understand how she was driven to that point. I wouldn't have done what she did, but you can see like why someone would be driven that crazy to that point.
No, I agree, because when your whole life has been. I mean, they met when they were 17 years old. You know, they met. So they've been together for 20 plus years at that stage. Like 25 years, something by that stage. So like, and you know, he was really trying to discredit her, but at the same time I do feel like she set herself up low key, because like it's like you know, you can't fault someone for wanting to be someone else. Unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. Like you can't where I feel like she was spending too much time on that and wasn't really focusing on the kids. So honestly, like watching the show, the kids seemed low-key like secondary to me, because her main focus was like getting her back, getting her own back on the husband. Do you know what I mean? And we can't like, you can't live like that if you've got kids. You know, I don't have any, but it's like, you know, they've got to be the main focus. Like you see a lot of people co-parenting quite well these days, and like, you know, you have to. But I just wanted to highlight something. So I believe her name's Alex Cunningham, was the person who put the show together, and they were talking about, you know, like whether she was, because obviously Betty Broderick's still alive, so you know there was opportunity to like consult with her and things like that, but she said she didn't want to, and she wanted to talk about that. So I thought it was interesting what she said. So she said that I could have interviewed Betty Broderick, but I didn't, because I don't know if there's ever been an accused or convicted murderer who has gone on the records as spoken or as written about her case prior to the trial, during both trials and post-trials, than Betty Broderick. So to me, since she's been denied parole twice in the last 10 years because she's expressed regret, not remorse, she still wants to make it clear that to anyone in a similar situation would have behaved in the same way. I don't know that speaking to her today would help me understand her mental headspace at the time, more than the millions of words she has said and wrote at the time. So that's what I chose to focus on. So that's someone to point out as well. She's not remorseful till this day.
Oh yeah, she doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, she regrets doing it, obviously, because of the situation she's in now, and obviously, and I guess she probably doesn't have her kids. I don't know the situation with that. I mean, there would be adults very much so now, but I know only one of I think it's the second, or if not the oldest daughter. I think that's the only one who talks to her, and she's like, my mum's not a danger to anyone. It was only to the two people that she killed, and she believes that the mum should be released. Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, it's crazy though. I mean, that's a passion killing if I've ever seen one. Oh, like if you're not going to be with me, you're not going to be with no one, kind of thing. Like that's it's and then to kill the wife, because one thing killing him, but the wife as well, right. It's just it's a lot. Yeah, but it's so hard. Like, but there's times where like you're like, right, like no, like I don't know, man. I think it's like, I think when I think to like myself, and if I try to sort of like, I mean, I've not been anything as deep as that, let's be clear, but at the same time, it's like, I think there's just a certain point where I'm like, this is like my worst, and I feel like her worst was just like even worse than that. So like, I just cannot understand like, or fathom. Something just must switch. That's like, what I'm saying. I don't think there's like a definitive thing like what is a killer. I don't think anything really makes a killer, because there's people who are like leading normal lives, and then one day, like for her, something like dramatic happens, but like everything just switches, and you get through like a mental illness. It has to be. I think with her there was a question about her mental state before that anyway. Like she definitely was mentally unstable. She'd been they put her in. They sectioned her when she tried to kill herself. No, when she tried to, I think like, was it when she first broke in or she tried to break in? I can't remember. Yeah, but they tried to section her, and her husband was just like, look, keep her in there, because obviously he had the power to do that, being a malpractice medical lawyer specifically. So like they were like, yeah, shit. But I mean, I can't believe someone like that had so much power. That's another thing as well. It's actually wild. It's so crazy. It's actually so crazy. But no, watching the show, like, I don't know about you, but I just felt like the manipulation was making me feel so sick. Like it was just horrible. I know. Like, it was winding me up. I felt so honestly, it was horrible. Like he was so manipulative. Like literally, like that's why she couldn't get a lawyer though. Right, acted like acted like he was trying to help her, but really just used it against her every single time. And it was actually really heartbreaking. It was actually really heartbreaking. Yeah. It was really heartbreaking. Definitely. I mean, guys, I know about marrying lawyers out here. Because if it goes left, then boy, it's really gonna go left. Because like to have that kind of knowledge on the, like, you don't realize how much your side, you don't realize how much we don't know. Like the reality is that we don't. There's so much like legislation and so many laws and so many clauses and loopholes that we just don't know about because we don't study the law. And obviously they go to university for a long time for a reason, and do all this extra training and exams and whatnot for a reason, because there's so much to learn. That's what it takes years. But that was a mad one. So we would encourage you to watch that, because it's just interesting to see like what happened. It's on Netflix, so yeah, shouts.
And I think it's just interesting, like morally, because you're having empathy for a killer, because I was definitely having empathy with her, and like that's something that I never thought I would have.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's mad. So yeah, watch it. See, like, let us know what you guys think.
Definitely.
Because it'll be interesting to see like how you feel about the situation. But yeah, that leads us on. This one's like definitely more of a confusing one. So I'm going to talk about the murder of Gianni Versace.
Right.
So like you guys obviously know, well, I'm sure you guys know Versace is a brand. So Gianni was obviously the founder of Versace. He was obviously it's now headed by his sister Donatella. Donatella Versace. So yeah, huge like Italian fashion brand. Like you guys know all about Versace. So on 15th of July 1997, Gianni Versace was actually he was coming back from a morning walk on Ocean Drive, which is in Miami Beach, and he was shot in like a point blank execution style on the steps of his Miami Beach mansion, which you can actually visit.
I went to dinner there. Shouts out to you, Hel. Yeah, it was great. It was actually really, it's cool.
It's beautiful.
It's so
beautiful
cool.
In there. Everything is Versace in there. Like
it's so cool. And at dinner, they were like serenading us, and it was just beautiful. Got the famous head of the Medusa in the pool. Like it's really cool.
Yeah, the classic. But yeah, unfortunately, he was shot on his steps as he was going up there to get into his house, and he was murdered by someone called Andrew Cunanan. So Andrew's story, like
it's
I got
crazy.
It's mad actually, because like, he it wasn't just Gianni that he'd killed, guys.
No.
Like he'd been on like a killing spree.
Yeah.
So before Gianni, he'd actually murdered 4 other men, including like this huge real estate developer called Lee.
He was like doing up madness with behind the guy's wife's back.
Yeah, so
crazy.
So I'm gonna like get into all those. So like just a little bit about his relationship with Gianni. So like he was obsessed with Gianni anyway, and he'd like brag to his friends like, yeah, we're super close, like I've met him, we do this, we do that, and like, but people were saying that this was symptomatic of his delusions of grandeur, which is basically like a belief or like delusions of self-importance. So like it just leads people to believe that they're really famous or like they're really wealthy, which is sort of like what he was leading a life like what it just wasn't true. And so like because he'd always like brag about other celebrities, like, oh, I know this celebrity, I know this, and
but
like,
let's talk about where that came from there, because that came from the fact that he grew up really poor.
He did, yeah.
His, like,
he had a Filipino father. I think he was like mixed race. His mum was white and his dad was Filipino. They'd come to they were like super poor and like and
didn't one of them have like an illness or something, or
I can't remember,
but like he felt like basically she was like his mum was the one that I believe was still around, and she was some sort of like inconvenience to him or something. I can't remember why though. Well, I think it's just really because she wasn't like up to his standards. So like he'd go to school and be like, oh yeah, I'm super rich. He had like this really nice watch. He used to dress in like really nice suits and whatever, and just made himself like look like more than what he was. So like people still to this day don't really know the extent of Andrew's and Gianni's relationship, because they did meet, according to eyewitnesses. They met in a nightclub in San Francisco in 1990. But yeah, the extent of those relationship isn't known. People think that they did meet up more than that because they were involved in sort of like sex for hire circles, because Gianni was gay, and I think that was definitely known that he was gay back then, or maybe it was hidden. I can't actually remember. But yeah, Gianni Versace was gay, and so like a lot of those circles, there were like a lot of gay men like having sex for hire, and like apparently like Andrew was alleged to have been involved in that. So like maybe he'd done that with Gianni. No one actually really knows. Oh, okay. So in the show they make it seem that they did have a few dalliances.
Yeah, but like in reality, people don't know. They definitely did meet at least once, according to eyewitnesses, but we don't know like what the relationship actually was.
Right.
So just to trail off a little bit, I'm gonna talk about his murders before he got to Gianni. So it started with so the Jeffrey trial was like the first killing that he did. So it began in Minneapolis on April 27th, 1997, with the murder of his close friend, 28-year-old Jeffrey Trial. So after an argument in Trial's apartment, Cunanan beat Trial to death with a hammer. On April 29th, 2 of Trial's co-workers, they were concerned about his absence from work. They came to his apartment to be like, okay, what's going on? They discovered like his body like rolled up in a rug that was placed behind a sofa.
Because that was the one. He was like an architect or something, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Wait, so like say the date again. So what date did he kill that guy?
So that was April 27th, 1997.
And then when did he kill Versace?
So he killed Versace in July, so it was just
literally, so it was literally a short period of time.
Yeah, he was going on a mad one. Next one was Lee Micklin. So on May, he moved on to the next. On May 4th, Cunanan drove to Chicago, Illinois, and killed 72-year-old Lee Micklin, who was like a prominent real estate developer. He bound Micklin's head and feet, wrapped them around with duct tape. He stabbed him like more than 20 times with a screwdriver, slit his throat with a hacksaw, and sold his car. Like, this guy was just on a mad one.
That's crazy.
So like his family maintained that the killing was random, but however, people think that he had some sort of other motive. Like in the TV show, they actually said that they were having some sort of sexual relationship. I don't know if that's true, but it was just it was they put that on the show anyway. The next one was William Reese. So this was another random one. He shot a 45-year-old caretaker called William Reese. Later that day, when Reese returned home from dinner, his wife visited the cemetery to check on him and found the caretaker's office door ajar with the radio playing inside. She called the police, who found Reese shot in the head with the same pistol that Cunanan had used to murder people. David Madsen. Did I talk about David Madsen? I think I skipped that one.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that was another one. Anyway, yeah, so that was another one. There's a few, and then obviously it got to Gianni Versace. And so he murdered him in front of his house when Gianni was returning from a news cafe, because he always went to go out and get magazines. That was his daily routine. He used the same gun that he'd used to murder his other victims, and then fled to a nearby parking garage. And I think it was maybe a couple of days until Andrew was found, and I think he broke into someone's beach house or something, and there was a standoff, and then he'd killed himself. Really no one will ever know what drove Andrew to all of these killings. It's pretty crazy.
It's so crazy.
It's just wild.
It's actually so crazy. It's crazy.
How do you, I don't understand.
I'm not understanding.
It is confusing, because what switch? I don't know. I really don't know. If you guys watch the TV show, obviously it's more of a dramatization, and it's more assumption about what actually happened. We don't actually know. But they made Andrew into this sort of he's a bit of a sociopath, really. He knows the right things to say. He's really charming. He's very handsome, well dressed, well put together, and he socialized with the rich gay elite, I would say, in that sort of area. And so he was able to connect with these people, really high up people who were secretly gay, and he'd have affairs with them. They'd money him up, because in the program he was living off of one of these older guys. I don't know, maybe he just, I don't know, I really don't know about Andrew. It's just another crazy one.
I think with that as well, that's what you call an obsessive murder, because I think maybe what it is that maybe because he was bragging about this so-called relationship with Gianni Versace, and it wasn't that, and in the TV show they make it seem like Gianni was kind of look chill, they might have had one night, who knows, but he was just I'm not really trying to, it's just a one-off type thing. And I think maybe he was fixated on that, what am I not good enough kind of thing, and that was what drew him to it. Also I think because of his need for wanting to feel more important, I think he wanted to be famous. I think he wanted to go down as a martyr, which is very much not what he was, but I think he wanted to be famous, and so that was a way for him to do that. And so he actually committed suicide 8 days later. And the fact that he managed to escape the police is honestly shocking.
Because on the show you could see that he was kind of excited that his face was on TV.
He was,
when they were searching for him, he was oh,
exactly,
okay.
This man was smart though. He was smart. He fully escaped the thing. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And he did it all on his own terms. That's why he killed himself. He's I'm not trying to get arrested. Absolutely not.
Exactly.
So it was very wild. I think it probably stemmed from Gianni Versace, and what I mean by that is the other murders. So I think he'd met him, he was basically, Gianni was probably all the things that he wanted to be: really rich, successful, money, all that sort of thing. And then it just drove him down this, he just got so infatuated with it, and was just driven to this point, and then killed all these other people. And then he's well, I've done it now, I've just seen Gianni, let me just do it again. So maybe you're right.
I think again, we'll never understand because we're not killers.
No,
I'm glad.
And he's dead now.
He's dead. So unfortunately, they can only really take like accounts from like people that might have known him, which is actually I think what they've mainly done. That one is actually still like relatively a mystery, so they don't really know. Like he didn't really keep like a journal, to my knowledge, anyway.
No. So like
or something they can really like sort of So they're taking like accounts of people that were like maybe around them and things like that.
In the club and stuff. And what's interesting is that the Versace family, like still like Andrew didn't know him, they never met. They're like on the viewpoint of like he doesn't know him, it was just a random killing, like they're just denying like him ever meeting Gianni in the first place.
Oh really?
And I'm not sure that like Donatella was that happy with them making the TV show about it either. So I
thought Penelope Cruz did a great job of playing her, to be honest.
She did do a really great job. She did do a great job playing her. But fair enough, like that.
I mean, I think at the end of the day with these types of things, it's obviously really hard, like like this is obviously opening like a lot of wounds, and so for it to be sort of like monetized, if you like, and dramatized, like I can imagine like it will be quite difficult, and especially where it's in a situation like this versus like OJ Simpson, for example, which was like the first in this series of like the TV show by Ryan Murphy. I think the difference is that like obviously OJ's still alive, like Nicole's like sisters and stuff like that are still, like family is still alive, so they're able to get a bit more of an accurate telling. But I mean, it's still not accurate because I mean, I'm sorry, but OJ did kill her and the guy, but yeah, I feel like with Gianni Versace, like it's still a bit like of an enigma.
Well, it's just like the reason why, because there just isn't like really like a definitive
but
reason.
I feel like, so
and like even with
even
I was gonna say like with like Selena's relationship with Yolanda, that makes more sense because they had a personal relationship. But then again, we don't actually really know like what Andrew's and Gianni's relationship actually was. Maybe it could have been way more deeper than what we thought. Maybe they had like a love affair. Like
I think with my girl who killed Selena, I think she got to a point where she was starting to like fall in love with her. Like it seemed like it was like she was maybe developing somewhat like romantic feelings as well as like just like the platonic, and obviously Mr. Cunanan, is that how you say your name? Cunanan.
Andrew Cunanan.
Andrew, like he clearly was all over the gaff, but I just feel like it's crazy. But actually I thought to myself, like people that do things like that, so not like John Lennon, who was John Lennon killed by? Like a random guy as well, isn't it?
That was a fan. I think it was another fan.
Right, exactly. And so I'm just not understanding like what's the
like something, because it still happens now, because there's obviously celebrities who get restraining orders from people with like they're sending mail to my house, they're waiting outside my house, like what is it that gets you? This is why like it's like you said, we need to get someone like who's in the field to like explain this, because I would love to. I was watching, I want to know like how
no definitely I would know how they get to this point. I think though again it's like it's hard to understand when you're not like that, so it's really difficult to even like, I mean, as you said, you kind of said that you empathized with Betty just given like what everything she's gone through or everything she went through. However, like I still would never understand, because no matter all the bad things or negative things that happen in my life, I just never get to a stage where I'm like, I need to kill you. The most I say is I want to trip you over. Like that's pretty much it. Like that's probably the worst. Like that's, so to me, even that, but I get with her, like it was really like it was her life, so it's like a life or death for her. So I don't get it, but it's just kind of like, okay, it
makes more sense than the other ones. But this actually leads us nicely onto, so this is like another situation where like maybe it's like a morality test, where like, do you guys agree with this one? So this story is about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who was, so she's an American girl. She grew up with her mother called DG Blanchard, and her mum was like making claims about her health that resulted in a series of diagnosis and medical interventions. Like she said, she was claiming like, she's like, my daughter's got got cancer,
Yeah.
she's got this.
There's a term for it. What's the term called?
That. It's called Munchausen syndrome.
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce it. Which is basically like when you're convinced that you have an illness that you don't have, but instead of her thinking she had the illness, she put that on her daughter. So a lot of people have that, like they're like, oh, I'm convinced like I've got cancer, I've got this, and they're like, no, like we've done tests, like, you literally don't have it, and they're like, no, but I do. Like, yeah,
it's like people, 10 steps higher than like a hypochondriac who just
exactly. So like from when Gypsy was born, like her mum like her head was like shaved, she kept her hair short, and like she was getting fed by like a what's it called, the food tube, what do you call them? She had like a tube inside into her, so she couldn't eat food. She was like being fed by a tube, basically. Like it was just going that far. And like, yeah, so she was like, yeah, she can't go to school, she can't do this, so like once Gypsy had like obviously got older, she started to realize like actually there's nothing wrong with me, like because her mum said that she had muscular dystrophy, which means that you can't walk, which like there's times when she would be getting up and walking and she's like, I'm fine. Mum's like, no, get back into your chair, because she was wheelchair bound as well, even though she didn't need to be. So yeah, when she was 8 years old, DG described her as suffering from leukemia and muscular dystrophy, and said that she required a wheelchair and a feeding tube. The list of medical problems that DG related to her daughter would go on to including the seizures, asthma, and hearing and visual impairments. Due to DD's actions, Gypsy was prescribed a litany of medications and had to sleep using a breathing machine. She also went through multiple surgeries, including procedures on her eyes and removal of salivary glands. So when Gypsy's teeth rotted, perhaps due to her medications that she didn't need, missing salivary glands or neglect, they were just pulled out, so she didn't really have teeth. So yeah, the truth was that Gypsy could walk, she didn't need a feeding tube, she didn't have cancer, her head was bald only because her mother shaved off her head, and yeah, obviously experts now believe that she had the Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which led her to fabricate all of the stuff. So to get to like how Dee is now obviously dead, what happened is that Gypsy was able to get access to the internet, and she met this boy. I'm doing this from memory now, so it's not gonna be like 100% accurate, but yeah, it'll be pretty accurate. So yeah, she'd met this guy online. This is when she was about 15. She met this guy online, and she was just talking about her life, and like she was just saying, my mum's like this, my mum's that. Let me actually find a good part. And she was like, yeah, like I've obviously found out that like my mum's just like been lying about like everything, like I just want to get out, like. And the boyfriend's like, can't believe you're living like this, like we've got to do something about it. So yeah, first of all, they initially like tried to like run away at a science fiction convention. She was like, right, we're gonna go to this convention, like we're gonna meet, mum's gonna take me there, like let's run away. But like DG like caught on, and she tracked them down via like mutual friends or whatever, and she was like, no, we're not doing this. And she convinced the man that like Dee was actually a minor, whereas actually at the time, sorry, she wasn't 15, she was 19, so she wasn't a minor. And so like according to Gypsy, DG smashed the computer and physically restrained her to her bed when they returned home, and Gypsy also said that her mother would sometimes hit her or deny her from food, but then yeah, after that Gypsy managed to get back online. She joined a Christian dating site where she met Nicholas Godejohn. She told him the truth about her mother's actions and ended up asking him to kill Dee so they could be together. In 2015 he came to her house, so she gave her address and everything, stabbed Dee while Gypsy waited and covered her ears in the bathroom, and then she went back to his house in Wisconsin, where they were found by police. Gypsy had like twice posted on Facebook, she was like, that bitch is dead, and I think that's where people were sort of like, okay, something's gone on in the house, like what the fuck's going on, and that led to the mother's body like being discovered, and like yeah, that's sort of where we are today. Gypsy's in jail. A lot of people were kind of like, well, fair enough, like she led this life where her mum forced all these illnesses on her that weren't even real. She lost all her teeth, her head was shaved, she was wheelchair bound for no reason. Of course she would like want to get out and like, you know, get to that point, but like I don't know, like it's definitely a sticky one, because I think like Gypsy had been placing like a lot of the blame on the guy, saying that so what did she say, sorry? so she's like, so Gypsy said that she's not happy that Dee Dee is dead, and that she's pled to second-degree murder, and she's sentenced to 10 years in prison, though she'll be eligible for parole in 2024. And then her boyfriend was obviously found guilty of first-degree murder, because obviously he was the one who did it. But Gypsy has said it was only after Dee Dee's death that she realised the extent of her mother's deception. While Gypsy had known that she could walk and eat regular food, she believed that she had leukemia.
Oh my gosh.
But like, yeah,
how do you deceive that? How do you get a doctor to diagnose someone with leukemia?
I don't know.
I'm sure she's probably feeding her like rat poison and stuff like that as well, and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
But like, so this is my thing, right? Again, I don't condone death, but it was like in that situation, she was either going to die or she killed. Like, it's like kill or be killed. Yeah. So I don't really know, because obviously I've never been in a situation, neither do I know anyone that's been in that situation.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you that I can't tell you that the result is not wholly. I don't know, man.
Well, yeah,
because
I mean,
she literally was being killed every day, and it was a matter of time before she was going to stop breathing.
Yeah,
like it was just a matter of time.
The girl's teeth are falling out. Like, that's when you know it's going to be a wrap.
Done out. So like, that's like, it's just wild. Like, and in terms of
crazy.
A mother, for me, I can only say that again, she must have some like deep, severe like mental health illnesses, and maybe there was things that went on when she was younger, maybe abuse that she received from whomever when the mother was younger, that led her to feel like, okay, it's time to treat my child as well. But bro, I'm not gonna lie, I don't get it. I
think it stemmed from like, because obviously the girl's father wasn't in her life. They only, because guys, it's been made into a TV show now as well.
Oh yeah, I think isn't it? It's Cart, isn't it?
Which she definitely should watch. So wait, let me just find the TV show, and it's got Jamie King in it. So the girl who's in what's that shit called? Kissing Booth.
Yeah, I thought so.
So it's called The Act. You should watch it, because seeing Jamie in something like that, going from Kissing Booth to, it's called The Act. She is so incredible in that. Like, honestly, it's really good to see her play a serious role, and she plays Gypsy like so amazingly. And the mum's played by Patricia Arquette. So definitely check it out. It's so interesting.
Have you watched it?
But yeah, I watched it all. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, yeah,
really good. So wait, what was I saying? I can't even remember what I was. Yeah. So in that TV show, they sort of, like, the dad wasn't really in the picture, and I don't know if she was doing it sort of like to get attention because the dad wasn't there and she didn't have any support. Because like another thing they would do as well, like you can actually still find the videos to this day. Gypsy was actually one of the Make-A-Wish children. So if you guys don't know Make-A-Wish, like it's like, oh yeah, like my child's basically like gonna be dying, or like, you know, they're sort of on their last legs, like we would really love her to like
basically Make-A-Wish foundations for young people who deal with sort of like rare and severe causes, like versions of cancer, and they have the opportunity to make a wish to like do an activity or meet a celebrity.
So I think that she'd like gained that as well, and like there was a lot of money that was being given to her, and like all these sorts of stuff that like she had Gypsy involved with. It's really like fucking weird, and I don't know if like the dad like maybe knew that something wasn't up, but she kept the dad away. So like, yeah, I don't know if like the mother was driven to it because like, I don't know, she didn't have anyone in her life to like give her that attention, so she wanted attention from like her daughter. Like I don't know like what it was, why you would do that to your kid.
It's not making sense. Again, you know, we don't have kids, but I know that the way my parents treat me, it's like I just like, I mean, parents are obviously very protective of kids anyway. Like, exactly. Of course you wouldn't want your kids to be going for anything, but then to actually put illnesses on your kid, like, it's getting them to have, like, it's crazy. I mean, we'll never understand because we're not like that. So I mean, that's just the moral of the story. But I just think that, I would really like to, and so I was going to say, and maybe this might be a good way to sort of like conclude, I guess, is that there's some sort of like murder psychologist, psychotherapist, something in America who like basically gets like the brain of people who have like done weird stuff and like actually like dissects it, and like basically is like found like there's like similarities in like the actual like brain of those people, and like of like, you know, killers and like serial killers and or obsessive killers or whomever, and like how there's like a certain like frontal lobe or something that's like smaller or bigger or something like that like that there's a similarity, like, because like I think we're all trying to understand like what is it, like there's clearly like there's got to be a trend like in those people that like do things like that. So I think a lot of people would like to understand like how, but I mean, guys, I think what we say is, you know, do some research. It's like it's really quite interesting, like just to understand. I mean, these things are happening around us, so I think it is good to educate yourself anyway. Just like, you know, you need to keep your eye out for mad people around you in it. So It's like also though I would say that, you know, it's hard, but if you do see things like that happen around you, definitely talk to someone. I mean, I really hope you don't.
Even if you're feeling like that yourself,
yeah, exactly, also hope you
please
reach out to someone. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy people in this world, and yeah, we hope that you have enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. We'll be back in with another episode. If you've got any suggestions about stuff that you want us to talk to you, let us know in the comments.
Yes, please.
Otherwise, we'll see you later.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.